back, and now some politics, if we may. And wonderful Pauline Hanson, from my perspective. The Liberal Party and Pauline, why aren't they working hand in hand to beat the enemy, which is the Labor Party? Why, what's going on?
Yeah, well, we'll see what happens over the next few years. We're 2 years out from the next federal election, but right now, I would imagine that the issue is that to get into cahoots with One Nation would effectively be sacrificing the National Party, because the One Nation core base is not too dissimilar from the national core base, and that's been a big part of the problems with the coalition in the last year, especially with Susan Ley and the problems with Little Proud. So yeah, at this stage of the game, it's not viable. The issue is, can the Liberal and Nationals fight back, so to speak, and get back on top of One Nation in the polls? Because if they continue to struggle to exert their dominance on the right side of politics, then quite rightly a lot of right of centre voters are going to think about whether or not they should be putting their support behind One Nation, and of course that has big implications for the Liberals and Nationals, from funding to loss of talent. People might defect in the lead up to the election, because it's all about the next federal election.
You raise an important point with the loss of talent, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
The loss of talent. The fact is, we don't have much talent in the first place. I mean, you have a look at our economy, you have a look at the Treasury, you have a look at what's going on in Australia at the moment with the ever-increasing taxes, the ever-increasing poverty that they've been able to continue to raise for us. How do we vet these politicians so that we get the right person in the job? How do we get rid of these bastards?
Yeah, well, it's tough, and you sort of, the process itself needs to work its way. That is, if you keep failing, then you as a party or what have you should be selecting better people. But look, I actually think there's a core group at the Liberal Party right now that are very talented people. You know, where you got from Angus Taylor, who's a really good, he's got a lot of business experience, good economist, through to your James Pattersons and your Braggs and your Wilsons. This group's actually quite good. And the thing is, you know, they're probably not very good as opposition, but they'd be very good in power. Whereas we've seen many politicians succeed because they're good in opposition. They're good at burning the village down, but are they good at managing and growing the village? And I think we've really got a critical 6 months ahead for this country, in the sense that if that group of, I think, pretty talented people have got to come together and come up with what matters in the end, and that's the economy, that is people's living standards, their ability to feed their children. If they can get a message that speaks to the realities we face, our problems are not immigration and cultural issues. They're at the edge of the real problem, and that is an economy that's delivering for people. You know, making sure people have got purposeful jobs, making sure that people who, you know, the concept of a fair go and fairness, you know, you've got a whole bunch of people on handouts from the government. So there's this opportunity to, you know, get on top of One Nation, re-establish themselves, and then I think it's going to be if there is a right of centre party that can come up with a cohesive narrative and campaign for the community, they will win the next election, because Australians are sick and tired of a government that is so disrespectful of the economy.
Not only disrespectful, I'm just saying, because one of the things that you've hit upon is the fact that I understand people like ourselves have worked hard all our lives, got whatever assets we have. The last thing I want to do is, if I die, having to pay an inheritance tax. That my kids have to pay an inheritance tax for something that I've worked for all my life. And that's the way we're heading, right?
Well, look, we're seeing this budget coming up, but they're looking for more taxation. And as I've said before, you know, you've got to look at bringing the government spending down. It's just out of control. It's not a joke when I say that. It's not an expression that we're going to have problems ahead. We've got problems now. But, you know, the economy is in dangerous territory. This war in Iran could not have come at a worse time. It's most countries around the world had stabilised inflation. It's still a little bit high, but it's stabilised it. They did what they had to. They took leadership's about having the courage to do what needs to be done, the short-term sacrifice for long-term gain. We've seen none of that in Australian politics for 5 years, if not longer. The thing is, this economy could really start to go in that great term pear-shaped, And I think that's going to make it very hard for the Albanese government to get re-elected.
Tell me this, Warren, is it unrealistic for me to think that the One Nation Party and the Nationals couldn't merge, have the Liberals stand alone, have One Nation and
Look, I'm not an insider in any way, shape or form.
but is that
politics.
unrealistic to think?
No, I mean, look, I think these sort of things are possible, and in a way they will happen in some respect. I mean, in Europe we see the two-party system, which has been so good to Australia. It's had its ups and downs, but it's pretty much worked its way. But if that's starting to break down and you're getting more independence, and if we start to see the Greens get the kind of vote One Nation has, I mean, look at One Nation at the last election a year ago. They got 3 or 4% of the primary vote. By October, they overtook the Greens with 10, 12% of the primary vote.
Correct.
And then by Australia Day this year, overtook Liberal National.
Yeah.
So the Greens always hang around the 10, 12%. Now, that's that proportion of our society that are basically whack jobs. It's not a sustainable model they're offering the community. So that's why it's never got more than that. But if you do see that go up at the expense of the ALP, then we've seen our politics move to the extremes.
Yeah.
And that's the worst place it can be. And it's anything could happen from here, and it could be. We've had a lot of things go our way in this country in the last 50 years.
Yep.
Yeah, but there's time for change, right? I mean, this
We need.
this
we will get-
cosy
we will get
two-party
change.
system,
Yeah.
Labor, Liberal. Don't tell me they don't collude together, because they do.
Well, they'll need to
Right.
at times, and I think that's part of leadership. Is you need to do the right thing. I mean, leadership is about listening for sure, but it's also about people put you there because you're smarter and you have a view, and you explain to us why you're doing this. It's not just focus groups. I mean, if you just are mercy to a focus group, then you've got the cart before the horse. You're not just doing. I mean, that's what's the problem with our modern politics, is that you're just trying to get re-elected as opposed to having a vision of the country.
Correct.
We've got a great country. We are I thought with this change in the demographic cycle where we've got labour shortages, the fact that we're an immigration nation does mean we're going to win, because immigration can help deal with this labour shortage. But it actually doesn't, because you've got to house and feed people who come into the country, so it doesn't fix it. But the fact is that's immigration, ability for us to deal with immigration, and we're chipping away at that too, actually, but we have got a bright future. All the things that have got us here are going to be relevant for the future, the resources, the legal system, and the people. We're pragmatic but principled people. It will get to the right place. It's just what happens between now and then. Do we do it the easy way or the hard way?
We're going to have another break. I don't want Warren running out of steam here. We're using him up too much. He's giving us too much of his knowledge. We'll be right back with another interesting segment. Stay with us.